And it's day 6 of Karen's Christmas movie marathon, and today we're watching Gremlins. We're talking about Gremlins from 1984, directed by Joe Dante, executive produced by Steven Spielberg, written by Chris Columbus. Not the guy from 1492, but have you heard that name Chris Columbus before?
Yes.
What do you know it from?
I know him from the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping I could drop that knowledge on you, but I guess you already knew Chris Columbus from Harry Potter.
But there's some other movies that he did that were pretty famous too, though.
What about Joe Dante? Do you know what else Joe Dante did?
No.
He did some good stuff too. We'll have to look that up, won't we?
Yeah.
Did Joe Dante do The Rocketeer?
I have no idea.
Okay.
It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Anyway, this is starring Hoyt Axton and the voice of Howie Mandel.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see any other recognizable actors in this? Any other stars of note?
Absolutely.
So lay it on me. Who else have we got in this?
Phoebe Cates.
Famous from Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yes.
I read on Wikipedia that they thought about maybe not casting her because she was more of a sex appeal and not like a girl next door type, but I think she plays a great girl next door.
Oh, yeah. Judge Reinhold.
Yep. Also Fast Times.
Yes. Also plays a butthole like he does in all the movies he's in. And the science teacher was in a different world. He was the...
Oh, I knew I recognized him. I didn't know where from.
Yeah, he's like the Army guy or ROTC guy.
I did not know that was the same guy.
The one that Jaleesa marries, I think.
Oh, well, I like the teacher in my mind. I know him as the teacher, and I never made the connection that he was the Army guy, but I knew he looked familiar. But like everybody I was thinking of, I was like, no, it's not quite him. It's not quite him. But I'm glad you helped me out with that. That was kind of eating at me.
Yeah. Is the guy who plays Billy, the main character, is he not a...
He was unknown.
Is this the only thing that he did?
Well, he's done some other things. But he was a relative unknown when he got cast in this. And he was up against some big name people, but they thought that he had the right chemistry with Phoebe Cates on his screen test. So, you know, it's one of those cool, inspiring stories.
Yeah. Oh, Corey Feldman was the little kid.
Yeah,
That's like a big one.
This was his first big role.
I figured
he had done
it was.
Something I read, and I apologize if I'm wrong. I don't always double check my sources, but he had been kind of like in some commercials, but I think this was his major motion picture debut. And then of course he'd go on to things like Lost Boys and Stand By Me, and
it's funny because he was just so innocent in this. You know what I mean? He just, and you could tell that he hadn't been acting very long on the screen because he was just kind of a little rusty.
Now, at some point, did you get an urge to kiss anyone's grits?
Ew, no.
Do you know why I asked you that?
Why?
Because Flo, she always said, "Kiss my grits" on Alice. Did you never watch Alice?
No.
Mrs. Deagle was Flo on Alice,
Oh, really?
one of the waitresses that worked in the diner.
Okay, now
and she always said, "Kiss my grits."
I recognized her, but like I didn't know where it was from. But now I get it. Okay,
she's the grit kisser.
I see it now.
Yep, Kiss my grits. She even had her own standalone show called Flo.
She was really old in this, though. It seemed like.
Well, Alice is from the '70s, so
I mean, I was born in the end of the '70s, so
and you look old.
But they made her look a lot older in this, I think, than she had been in those others.
One of my favorite actors from sort of like B movies and the kind of movies I really like he was in a lot of Roger Corman movies, and that's Dick Miller. He plays Mr. Fergler. What's the old guy that's always talking about the Gremlins and how you can't trust foreign-made cars?
I don't know, but that bad guy...
Futterman. It was Futterman.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I called him Fergler. Mr. Futterman, that's Dick Miller, and he was in The Howling, which is really good. He's been in just a ton of stuff, and he's always a treat when I see him on camera.
I feel like in this, he looked like Bryan Cranston. I think Bryan Cranston looks like him.
I'm going to have to go back and look at Bryan Cranston again.
If you go back and look at him and look at some of the faces that he makes, like that, they have to be related somehow.
Yeah,
it just seems like they are. Like he looks like Bryan Cranston does. Like
I don't think I ever noticed that similarity before. That's pretty cool. Well, this had a budget of $11 million, which, to be honest, I mean, a lot of time has passed, 40 years ago, so there's inflation and such, but this still looks like it costs more than $11 million, even in 1984. I mean, it's a beautiful movie, but here's the big part. it made $213 million at the box office.
I could see why.
Darn near 20 times its budget.
Yeah.
So that is successful. Imagine if they'd spent $20 million on it. It might have made $400 million.
Right.
Or it probably would have made the same. So they were smart to only spend 11 on it. Now, this is a part of the show where I tell everybody that spoilers will abound. Gremlins is a classic. I'm sure you've heard many, many people talk about it already. I'm sure you know a lot about Gremlins. But just to be complete, I'm going to let you know that there will be spoilers ahead, which you may want to avoid or you may want to dive into head first. Do what you want. I can't tell you. I'm not your dad. Now it's time for the 10K synopsis. Do you know why I call it the 10K synopsis?
Because one day you're going to make
$10,000 a piece. So here is, that would be, is that 100 Benjamins? 10,000?
Maybe.
10 Benjamins is 1,000. So yeah, here's your 100 Benji synopsis.
Okay.
Hundo Benji. Ooh, I'm going to give you my Hundo Benji. That sounds Japanese.
Gosh.
Here's my Hundo Benji. Are you ready?
Okay.
We're starting a new thing. A father's Christmas gift to his son has an unexpected downside.
Okay.
I had a plan B.
Okay.
A young adult proves he is not up to pet ownership.
I actually like that one better.
Yeah. This is why I don't like pets. Yeah. I mean, I end up loving the creature. I have love for the entity that is the animal, but I hate all the work that taking care of a pet involves. And there's a lot of work in taking care of these mogwai.
Yeah. I was discussing this with one of our kids today, and I was thinking, like, when is it Mr. Wong? Mr. Wang?
I think it's Wing. Like W-I-N-G.
Yeah, Mr. Wing. So when he's talking about responsibility, great responsibility, all I could think about was Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility, which I feel like this is something like this is true in this movie too.
That's one that's going to be on a lot of people's minds.
Right.
Now, I have a good answer to this question, but I always like to hear your answer first. How did you first discover this movie? Do you remember the first time you watched Gremlins?
Yes, so we kind of chatted a little bit about this. I hated this movie for the longest time because we watched it when I was in the first grade. I was 6 years old, scared the crap out of me. I thought Gremlins lived under my bed. For a long time.
That would scare me too.
I mean, you were a lot older, but I mean, it was a fairly new movie, I guess. It was maybe 2 years old by the time that I had watched it.
When you were in the first grade, was that the first time you saw it?
Yes.
So tell everybody where you saw it.
In school. We watched it at school.
This is crazy that first graders watch this in school.
It was a PG movie too. I was looking at it like PG is like...
Back when this movie came out...
Probably rated R now.
Well, when this movie came out, there was only G, PG, R, and X.
Right.
Or NC-17.
Yeah.
So they actually created PG-13 because this and Temple of Doom were like too harsh for PG, but they didn't have any boobs in them, so they didn't want to make them R.
Right.
So PG-13 kind of got created because of stuff Steven Spielberg was doing that pushed the envelope. But the first PG-13 movie to hit theaters was Red Dawn.
Okay.
At least that's what I was told on a podcast, and they never lie.
All right. Well, anyway, so I remember specifically, like, we had a book. So back then, Gremlins had already been out for a couple years, and they had made all kinds of merchandise, things, toys and stuff for Christmas. And I remember we would read books or listen to books on a cassette tape, and we had an animated book, or not an animated book, but a book with animation, drawings, not the actual movie in it. Yeah, illustrated book. So I remember standing up in front of the classroom, like we took turns holding books up so people could see the pictures as the story was being read to us. And so I remember this book specifically and the drawings in it, and then watching the movie, and oh my gosh, it scared me to death. Even though I grew to love horror movies eventually, I just always felt like always felt like there were gremlins under my bed.
A gremlin's a pretty scary thing, and this is a really twisty, turny movie because it lures you in with Gizmo, who's as cute as a button and
Yes.
appeals to first graders.
Oh my gosh,
And then
yes.
it throws the gremlins at you, which I can see how those would be a little scary, but if you're a boy, you like lizards and reptiles and monsters, so they probably didn't scare me as much, but I was also significantly older too. What am I, 5.5 years older than you, something like that?
Yeah.
So, you know, I would have been, but I will say now that we've moved past all the TV cartoons, it's nice to be reviewing a real movie. I mean, we had White Christmas, and I'm not saying I didn't enjoy watching that stuff, but it's hard sometimes to talk about a 20-something minute made-for-TV children's film. Now we actually got some real movie stuff we can talk about.
But this is a good one to start with, I think. When I've seen it since. I haven't paid like really super close attention to it, but today was like the first time I actually like really watched it for what's going on in the background, the things that were being said, and like that kind of stuff. So
I watched it in the movie theater the summer that it came out, and it did come out at summer because I remember this is one of the first movies where I felt weird inside because it was June and I was watching a Christmas movie. But I went to see it at the Huntington Mall, and Aunt Susan took me.
Oh my goodness.
And I remember this because after the movie was over, and we were like leaving the movie theater, and you have to kind of funnel out through the hallway, you know, so it's like a bottleneck. And there was a kid about the same age as me, so we're saying 10 years old.
Yeah, you were 10.
And he was wearing like a leather jacket in summertime, like a biker, like a cool dude Fonzie jacket from Happy Days. And he had like feathered hair, almost like Fred Savage from the Wonder Years.
Yeah.
And I remember he looked at me, he's like, whew, that's a hell of a Christmas. And I thought, that's the coolest kid I've ever met.
Man, I wonder if he still lives around here. That's
Oh, he probably is the mayor. It's probably Farrell or
my
something. I don't know. Now, this is classified as a black comedy horror film.
Yes.
But not a holiday film.
Okay.
But what do you think? I always just thought of it really as a children's holiday action movie.
Yeah.
I never really thought much about the comedy or the horror.
I think of it as a horror. I definitely think of it as a comedy. I laughed a lot in this movie.
Well, watching it this time, I can see, and then I was reading some notes about the original draft of the script. This was something Christopher Columbus wrote when he was still a student, or Chris Columbus, so we don't confuse him with the explorer from the 15th century. But he wrote it when he was in film school. Somehow it made its way to where Steven Spielberg read it and he loved it, but it was like a brutal, it was like Puppet Master kind of horror where there was like the mom gets decapitated and the head gets thrown down the stairs at the son. It was going to be really bloody, over the top drive-in movie. And then Spielberg got involved and it got some money, got a studio release, and they softened it to appeal to a wider audience. But that's a pretty cool story from it. As I said before, Steven Spielberg was the executive producer, and there are a lot of folks who think that perhaps he was a little bit of a ghost director on this. There's the same kind of theory that goes around, film theory, about Poltergeist, that Steven Spielberg sort of ghost directed Poltergeist, but because of rules with the Directors Guild, you can only be the director of one movie at a time. So he was like officially directing something else in 1984, but he's also spending a lot of time on the set of Gremlins. And
what was he doing in 1984? Do you know?
I can't tell you now.
I mean, E.T. was what, 82?
Yeah, he was probably counting all the money he made from E.T. It takes years to do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's some thoughts that this isn't really Joe Dante's vision, and that Gremlins 2 is more of Dante's vision. So maybe someday we'll get to watch that. I think it takes place over President's Day. So maybe on President's Day we'll watch it. As I said before, this movie was one of the reasons for PG-13, and I can see why this does not deserve an R, but parents should have a little heads up. This isn't for first graders to watch at a Christmas party.
At school.
Now, what is your take on the 3 rules for taking care of a mogwai? Do you want me to try and restate the rules?
I know what they are.
Well, I'm going to restate them for the
really
viewer. So the first rule, stay out of bright light, especially sunlight. Sunlight will kill them. Don't get them wet, no matter what. Don't ever give them anything to drink. Don't give them a bath. And no matter what happens, never feed them after midnight. How do you feel about those 3 rules?
Pretty easy rules.
The first 2 rules I can get behind.
The last one is hard because I feel like we snack sometimes
Well,
after midnight.
What if you're on an airplane and the gremlin gets food in the Eastern time zone or in the Central time zone, then he flies into the Eastern time zone?
I don't think those things are allowed on a plane.
But if the gremlin was born in New York, but he's in California, do you use midnight New York time or midnight California time?
Probably how does the time that you're currently in?
What if the law changes and they do away with daylight savings time? Does the Mogwai know? Do Mogwai observe daylight savings time? Are they just see what I mean? The time one bothers me.
I don't know.
So they should say like, don't feed it after sundown. That'd be good. Don't feed it between sundown and sunrise. Something more like that. And it also have an ancient Chinese sort of philosophical feel to it. You know, do not feed the creature after the sun sets or before it rises.
But after midnight, but what does that mean? Like when does after midnight end? Is that
it's always after some midnight, right?
Right.
So they never say when you can feed them breakfast.
Between this time and this time.
Yeah.
Maybe when the sun comes up.
That's why I think sunset to sunrise,
sunset
because
to sunrise.
midnight, but then when do they get breakfast? Is 3 a.m. too early for breakfast? Or is that after midnight? Because I got no problem with the 3 a.m. breakfast burrito. You know that. Now, this was released the exact same weekend as Ghostbusters.
No.
Can you imagine?
They went up against Ghostbusters.
Now, people couldn't shut up about Barbenheimer. Barbenheimer is nothing compared to Gremlins versus Ghostbusters, because this is the exact same audience.
Yeah.
The audience that loves the horror comedy Ghostbusters is the audience that's going to love the horror comedy Gremlins. And I saw both movies in the theater, so I had to go with my...
I went twice.
Well, my dad took me to see Ghostbusters, but he wouldn't take me to see another movie, so I had to get Aunt Susan to take me to see Gremlins.
It's probably just a big weekend for movies.
I was so spoiled as a kid. I never get a week. I can't even get one of these movies in a whole year, much less two in the same weekend. Here's something I read, and I don't know how much of this is true and how much of it's just kind of wishful thinking. But I did see online a rumor that rather than Joe Dante, originally Spielberg wanted to hire Tim Burton to direct this.
Okay.
He had seen Frankenweenie. Can you imagine how different?
Is Frankenweenie that old?
The original Frankenweenie, not the remake.
Yeah.
That was the short film he made in school.
Well, yeah, no, I really like, I think we've seen the original.
We have.
It's in black and white, I think, isn't it?
And it's live action.
Yeah.
The movie would look so different with Tim Burton, because you see Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which was his major motion picture debut, and all the colors and the surrealism, the Elseworld feel. This, even though we're dealing with something as absurd as these gremlin monsters, has a very wholesome, every town, all-American feel, not Elseworld. The closest I could see would be like an Edward Scissorhands kind of style and mood, but that's still so different from this.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can only imagine what the gremlins would look like. They'd be skinnier with longer arms and legs and have stripes.
I think
they would all
were
be striped.
perfect,
I know.
for what they were. Do you feel like there's a moment in the movie that looks similar to a Tim Burton style?
I would say for me, it's probably when all the cocoons are hatching and there's mist coming around all of them. But that also has a little bit of a James Cameron look.
Feel, yeah. For me, it was the part where they all show up in the street. And it's obviously claymation.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at that and I was like, wait a minute, that looks all jerky. That looks like back from the 60s when they were doing the dinosaurs, you know.
The Gremlins were primarily puppets. There was some stop motion.
Yeah, that was the stop motion.
But do you know what the original plan was, and they tested this out?
What?
They tried to put monkeys in masks.
Oh, my Lord.
I'm not lying.
I bet they wouldn't know what
the monkeys freaked out.
Them. Yeah.
They did like a test
like
where they put the mask
face.
on the monkeys. The monkeys all freaked out and panicked. They wouldn't follow any of the cues. I could only imagine the chaos, though, if somebody made a movie with like 20 monkeys in masks running around and trying to film that. I kind of wish I could see at least some test footage of that. Of course, that's got to be cruel to the monkeys. Like, there's no way they're getting that ASPCA thing at the end of the movie that no animals were harmed if they're sticking Halloween masks on monkeys and turning them loose in the snow.
Well, what about the one, so when Stripe was on the skateboard?
Yeah.
That was a very interesting moment because I thought that was an animatronic because he's standing up and you don't see the puppetry, but he's still like moving. But it also reminded me of moments of like Jim Henson's The Muppets.
Yeah,
like
they're
the live-
marionette style. Some of
Yeah.
them.
So well, Kermit the Frog, there's a couple times where you see his full body doing something, and you see that
Yeah.
like that little leg, the skinny leg that he's standing
Yeah.
on or whatever. So that reminded me of like.
If you
of the
look on my
Muppets.
shelf, you can see Stripe holding a chainsaw on a skateboard up there. I've got a nice little action figure of Stripe. Did you recognize the little town square where a lot of
Yes,
this movie...
from Back to the Future. I was saying that. I was like, wait a minute, that's the courthouse. That is the
movie theater.
And the movie theaters, especially because that's where the car, the DeLorean, goes down the street, hits the stoplight that's up there, and goes right into the movie theater.
Now, where else do you recognize it from besides Back to the Future?
Probably...
Let me help you.
Wait. No, is it Vampire Diaries or so? There's some other TV show that this court square that I know of is on, but also it kind of looks a little like Stars Hollow from Gilmore Girls.
What I was wondering is if you were going to say that you've been to that town square.
Have I been there?
It's on the Universal backlot. Yes, we were there, and I pointed at it. I pointed at it and said, "Gremlins, Back to the Future."
Yeah, we didn't actually. We just drove by it. I
but we were there. I bet. It was exciting to talk about how we went on that backlot tour.
I don't know if we really went into.
We did, because it was my favorite.
We drove around through.
That was one of my favorite parts of the tour.
Okay,
yeah, it really tugged at my old member berries there.
Your what?
Member berries. Okay. It's your nostalgia fillers.
Sure. Okay.
Did they really need to go into the story about the dead father on Christmas?
That was the part that I thought was like, okay, this is a horror movie, and it's already dark, but it just got way dark.
Nobody.
They didn't really need to talk about that, but like that gave it a real like, ooh, icky feel.
Nobody wanted that in the movie. The studio tried to get Dante to cut it. Spielberg tried to get Dante to cut it. Dante said that scene is a microcosm of the whole movie, and that scene is the movie itself, and he insisted it stay in, so they let him keep it in.
Interesting.
I think the movie might be a tiny bit better if they took that scene out.
I don't know.
It's definitely something you remember, though.
She says at the beginning that she hates Christmas and she hates gifts and all that stuff. And I mean,
couldn't her parents
they could have explained like why she hated it, but maybe not so much.
Maybe she could have just found out her parents were getting divorced on Christmas. You don't have to kill the dad. As a 10-year-old, that kind of jarred me and scarred me. I was not like everything else in the movie I could handle just fine. That part there threw me for a loop. First off, I mean, look at our chimneys at our house. We have an old house, over 100 years old. It's got like 4 chimneys. A squirrel fits down.
There's no way we can get down
Yeah,
there.
there's no way I would even try it. Of course I'd break my neck. It's just too unbelievable.
A lot bigger. Well, it's not, because just in the last 10 years, there was a kid that got stuck in a chimney and died, like just right over in Ohio, because he had
trying to be Santa or something?
No, he skipped school and he tried to break into a house and he went down the chimney and got stuck.
Well, that's it.
And then they didn't find him until like way later.
Oh,
it was an abandoned house.
I didn't know that kind of thing really happened.
Yep.
Well, now I take back all my scathing
That's dark too.
criticism. What do you know about the sequels?
To Gremlins?
Yeah, Gremlins.
I don't think I've ever. Maybe there's a 2. Is there a 2 and a 3? But I don't think I've ever seen them.
Gremlins 2 came out in 1990, 6 years later. Takes place in New York City at something that's supposed to be kind of like Trump Tower, but they give it a different name. And Dick Miller has a big part in it. Him and his wife go to New York City for a vacation, and while they're there, they visit with Phoebe Cates and Billy. Because they work at Trump Tower.
Is it the same character?
Yeah, it's the same actors.
Oh my gosh.
And it's taking place over President's Day. And there's a scene where Phoebe Cates goes, "Oh, President's Day, I hate President's Day. Let me tell you what happened." And Billy goes, "No, please don't." And then she just stops it, and then they go on without her finishing what happened to her on President's Day. But it's kind of a callback to the Christmas story.
That's funny. Well, I mean, does Gizmo still with them, I'm assuming, because...
Yeah, because...
But he leaves. He didn't get him back at the end of the movie,
Gizmo,
right?
where did he go when he left?
With Mr. Wing.
Where does Mr. Wing live?
I don't know.
Chinatown in New York.
Okay,
So he
that's
goes
where
to
the
New
dad
York.
was.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
And then they end up trying to do some
I
genetic
couldn't
testing.
figure out where the.
Well, in 2, they try to do genetic testing on the gremlins, so they have like bat wings and spider legs. They're
Oh
even
my
creepier.
Lord.
Yeah,
I
we'll have to watch
couldn't,
it sometime.
I know that the dad went to Chinatown, but I didn't realize that he went to New York because there's a Chinatown in San Francisco. There's one in D.C.
I'm
I
assuming
think it was kind of vague.
I'm
where it
assuming
was.
Chinatown in New York because that's the one we've been to the most often.
Yeah.
So, and we don't really know where they live, but I don't think they live in California on account
No,
of
they
all the
live
snow.
in. So they live at what was it called? Something Falls. I'm thinking it's like Minnesota or Ohio.
I was thinking it feels very Ohio, Indiana.
Yeah. Indiana, maybe. Wisconsin was the
Yeah.
other one. That's the one I was thinking was Wisconsin, but they didn't have the Wisconsin. Like,
Yeah, very heart of America,
accents.
even though it does look a lot like Twin Pines,
I think
California.
it's very Midwest. I
Yeah.
think it's Midwest.
What did you think at the end when the sunlight, and we've seen lots of vampires killed by sunlight in movies, and there's always different ways that they depict it, but I've never seen the flesh burn off layer by layer like it does on Stripe at the end of this.
Yeah.
How did you feel about that kind of grotesquerie that we get to
Was
see at
that
the
like?
end?
I thought it was. I didn't think it was sunlight.
It's bright light. It was bright enough to kill him. I thought the
Yeah.
sun was coming up and they lifted up the curtains and that
No,
sunlight killed him.
I don't think it was because Mr. Wing is like walking down the street, and I feel like he's walking down the street with like the moonlight. It's
Okay.
still nighttime,
I thought it
but
was
maybe I
sunlight.
got that wrong. I don't know.
I thought sunlight
But
was all that would kill him.
I was a little confused. I was thinking like he's standing in the water fountain. That I thought maybe that he like.
Regardless of the source of the light, how do you feel about like the disgusting effects on how it burned him up?
Well,
I didn't
that's
remember
what
it
I
being
was
so
trying
gross.
to
Okay.
remember what caused that. Was it too much water? Because he's actually standing in the fountain.
That's a
what was the
possibility.
water? Like, was the water some kind of acid? I mean, was there something that they had put into the fountain that actually wasn't water, but he thought it was water?
I don't think it was too much water because he jumped in the school swimming pool and was fine.
He jumped in the YMCA pool.
That's what I meant when I said school.
Yeah, but it could have been a combination of the light and the water. But I really thought that I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. I really thought that there was something
Because
in the
I
water
thought
did it.
that Gizmo managed to use his little pink Barbie car at the last minute to like jump and grab the
Pull the
thing on the
blinds.
curtain and it came up and sunlight got him.
Maybe, but it could be a combination of the water and the sunlight. I bet.
What did you think about how gross it looked?
I thought it was cool.
Okay. Think it was a little bit strong for PG? I mean, it was like Hellraiser quality grossness.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was just wax, like just the
Okay.
way it like melted. I thought it was a really cool effect, the way they did that.
I thought it
And
was,
then I think it was grosser when he was on the ground.
and it looks like a rat skeleton.
And then he like melted and he
Yeah.
kind of like moved a little bit. And then when they panned out and you saw the dog looking at it, I was waiting for the dog to walk
Start
up and
eating
like
the
lick
bones?
it or something. But it had this two big brown bubbles.
Well,
and it was just gurgling. And
I'm just
whatever.
glad they didn't have to melt a monkey to do that.
Yeah.
But it was more gruesome than I think
was so
anybody would have
trippy.
expected it to be in this movie.
Yeah. I liked it. I thought it was cool. But yeah, I mean,
Any other standout moments, notably good, notably bad, you want to mention?
comedy wise, like
Just in
funny,
general,
funny
yeah.
parts. My absolute favorite scene is when they're in the bar, in the Irish bar, because
I love
Phoebe
that.
Cates is like giving them drinks. I'm like, why is she doing that? Why didn't she run? Why is she standing there? Are they holding her hostage?
Never explained.
And, right,
Never
exactly.
explained.
But I love how they treated, like every time I watched it, because I rewound it a couple times. Every time I watched it, I focused on a different person or different gremlin. But
Yeah.
I love how they gave these gremlins like human personalities and qualities, and then there's a different one that showed up. You know, they have the smooth jazz one.
I like
and
him,
then they had all the ones drinking around the bar, and then the one that had
floozy with the red lipstick.
yes, the
My
three
favorite.
cigarettes,
My absolute favorite.
the exercise one that's supposed to be like Jane Fonda that
Yeah.
had the leg warmers on and
Was
was doing
spinning
the
on
dance.
one hand. Yeah.
Yes, to kind of break dancing a little
Yep.
bit. And then the one that had the weird one that had the puppet on its hand and was going, that was funny. And Let's see. Oh, and then the one that cracked me up so much was when Phoebe Cates was like trying to leave, and the one was hanging on the post, and he had the burglar mask on.
Yes, the ski
gun.
mask. Yep.
Yes, and he was like,
I think that's why she was serving him. She's been held at gunpoint.
Yeah, it was so funny to see all the different characters in there, you know. And then I had a discussion with one of our kids about, well, are gremlins like, do they have a gender? Because there were a couple of them that were dressed like females, and then a couple of them, or most of them were like males.
But their reproduction is asexual, so they should be genderless. But
yeah, but they kind of pick a side and they stick with it.
Interesting. I mean, when you know, right?
Yeah, yeah.
There's no complaint in there. I mean, we can see that they haven't got any wedding tackle. They don't normally wear clothes. Yeah. Where did they get all those little outfits?
I have no idea.
They must have went to they didn't even have Build-A-Bear back then. They could get them at a Build-A-Bear workshop or something.
I really also enjoyed, because I think I just hated her character so much, was the death of the real estate lady when she got on the little electric chair that went around, and they had hot wired it to go faster, and it just went around really fast and shot her out the window. I mean, I know that's like awful to think about, but that was probably one of my favorite scenes, because I was like, yes, she died in a good, like this glorious
and I love the reaction from the sheriff and his deputy when he just says, I think that was Mrs. Deagle.
Yeah. And then another scene that I really liked, or do you want to keep talking about that part?
I was gonna share some that I like, because I don't want you to take them all, because you're taking all the ones I was gonna take.
Well, you talk a lot on all the other ones. I really want to talk about this.
Continue.
I think another scene that I really enjoyed was when all of them are in the movie theater.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I like it when they're backstage behind the screen too, because as a kid I always wondered what was back there behind the movie screen, and it was cool to me that you could see Bambi from the backside.
Yeah.
It was also cool to me how much the Gremlins loved Bambi, since this wasn't a Disney production. This is a Warner Brothers production.
Snow White.
I'm sorry, Snow White, that was it.
And then they started singing.
But it's still Disney.
Yeah, and they started singing to the music, and they were, Billy and Phoebe Cates were like, oh my gosh, they're really loving Snow White. And if you look, like, they're all rowdy and they're singing, and there's a part where the camera is looking at all of them in the theater, and then you see a ton of these gremlins, like, fill up all the seats. And if you notice, like, I watched it a couple times so I could look in different locations when that popped up, that some of them were moving and some of them weren't. So I wonder if they just had some that were just sitting still,
that were just
like
dolls.
Placed,
They weren't puppets.
Or even maybe like a cardboard cutout or something.
Very possible.
Just to make it look like it was really full. But some of them were real rowdy, and some of them were still.
Monkeys with masks.
Yeah.
They went to the zoo, fill up the monkey cart.
And Gizmo was like, I really loved the human side of him too, where he would repeat words and he would say things back to them, and like he had his own little personality where he showed you that he liked things and he didn't like things, and he would roll his eyes and he would make all these faces like, oh, you know, he was tired of those other the ones that were, you know, the gremlins in the beginning that were causing all these problems. But then also another part that stuck out was later when Stripe is leaving the movie theater, and he looks out the window and he sees the sign that says candy, and I'm like, okay, they can read too? Like, I
so
I didn't understand like where they learned all this from, or how they
maybe he could smell the candy in there.
Yeah. But it focused right on that candy sign, and he goes, whoa, you know, like, ooh.
And how convenient that Stripe, of all the gremlins, just leaves right when they blow up the movie theater.
Right.
I would say that one of my favorite scenes, one that always comes to mind whenever somebody mentions Gremlins to me, is also the gremlin in the microwave.
Yes.
Because microwaves were kind of a new thing to a lot of people in 1984. They were certainly still kind of new to me. And I never even thought about what would happen if something alive was in a microwave and that gremlin explodes. And then within a few months, the urban legend about a lady putting her cat in the microwave started going around. But it had to be inspired by this movie and not the other way around, I swear.
Or the one that got in the mixing bowl, and the blender. And she turned it on,
and the legs
spun around. And
I love the legs on that.
I like that it wasn't blood red either.
It was kind of green.
It was greenish,
dingy green.
So it made it it gave it like this not so scary feel too, I think. And I think that appeals to like children. You know, if it had been blood red, it would have been very gory. But it was gory in that kitchen scene, but not so bad because the color wasn't so in your face, red.
Do you think Corey Feldman got itchy in that Christmas tree costume? Because that looked like real pine needles, not plastic.
Maybe.
That looked pretty uncomfortable
Yeah.
to me. He's just like head to toe pine needles.
Yeah. Oh, there's another. Okay, so this scene. I know you. Did you talk about all the ones that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, let's hear what you
Okay,
say.
so the scene where they're in the police station. I told the same kid that I had this discussion with that this is going to be my new catchphrase. I love this scene when they get the call that Mrs. Deagle has died or
Yeah.
something is happening at her house. And the deputy starts to go out and he says, "Give me the keys, I want to drive." And the sheriff says, "No, you're drunk." And he says, "But you always drive." And he said, "Because I'm the sheriff, asshole." That's what, and I love that. My favorite line in that movie.
I didn't even notice that
I'm the
line.
sheriff, asshole. So when the kids start asking me that, or you say you want to drive, I'm going to drive because I'm the sheriff, asshole. And I'm just going to quote that from now on.
There are few things as important to the Christmas season as music. And with all these Christmas movies, I'm always going to ask you what you think about the music. What do you think about the music in Gremlins? It's the first movie we've seen with a proper score during our Christmas movie marathon.
There's a couple times that you knew it was Christmas because they were playing Christmas music on the record player, and the mom didn't know, who had turned the record player on, and she turned it off. But I think the one that just sticks out in my mind is that.
Yes, it's so iconic.
It is.
It's just
But
like
it's not
your
Christmas.
it's your Gremlins theme, but
Right.
they should put it on Christmas playlists because
I
they
think
put the
so.
Charlie Brown do 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 do
Yep,
do.
yep.
I think they should go ahead and put dun 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 dun.
Yep.
It's my favorite Christmas song now. If they want to go caroling, I'll do it if we can just do da 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 da.
Oh, that was a funny scene too. With the
Christmas
carolers came to the door and she said, "I hate carolers." And she was going to throw water on them too. And
Ah,
if
that
she
would
had
have been
thrown
awful.
water on them, oh my
Imagine
gosh.
what would have happened.
That's another thing too. Okay, I'm going to back up. The continuity with this, like it's Christmas, it's snowing, they're out in the snow, they're touching water.
Yeah.
Does it have to be liquid water? Because when they touch that
Oh,
snow,
I never even thought about it. It's still H2 to the O.
they touch the snow and it's going to melt. Like, are they cold-blooded
Hydrogen
animals or
dioxide?
whatever?
Yeah.
But I was like, wait a minute. They're out there walking around in this stuff. How come they're not automatically like turning into those cocoons or whatever?
You know what?
Or more popping out, or more
That
popping
goes
out of their butt.
now. I got something to add to my whole time zone shenanigans whenever I start to ask people about the rules. Thank you
Yeah.
for adding that to me.
Well, and how did they create more? So I know that Gizmo they dropped water on him, the little things popped out. They ate after midnight and they became the Gremlins. But then when they jump in the swimming pool, do they become more Gremlins or do they need to like...
Here's what I think, and I could be wrong. I think if a mogwai gets wet, it makes more mogwai. If a gremlin gets wet, it makes more gremlins.
Okay.
That's what
That
I
makes
think.
sense. Yeah.
And if a gremlin eats after midnight, it turns back into a mogwai. Binge
I
and
don't
purge.
know.
Binge
I
and
know
purge.
there was some things where I'm like, okay, wait a minute. If you really think about it, how does this work? And how does this work? And how does this work? But yeah, that makes sense.
So Gremlins, not always a movie that pops into mind when people are thinking about great Christmas films. So what is the Christmas tie in Gremlins?
It's the holiday season. Like the dad is giving the son a gift.
It is the story of an ill-advised Christmas present, just
Yeah.
like the gift of the Magi. So yeah, this is 100% a Christmas movie because if it's not Christmas, he's not getting his son a gift. And if his son doesn't get that gift, the rest of the movie doesn't happen. So
Right.
this is through and through a Christmas movie. I don't
Yeah.
think you could say it's not.
Do we know what day it happens on? Because I think
Christmas Eve.
It's pre-Christmas, right?
Yeah, but Christmas Eve is when it's Christmas morning when they finally kill Stripe, when the dad comes home.
Okay. Yeah,
Also,
because the mom says, when are you gonna be
here's
home?
something. What kind of organization has a convention on Christmas Eve?
Was it a convention?
Yeah, it was
though?
like a sales convention.
I thought he was just trying to.
I mean, he's on the
pitch
phone and
his-
there's all these
I
inventors
didn't know it was a
there.
convention. I think it
Well,
was just inventors trying to get a patent or
Well,
something, you know?
he's surrounded by people with inventions.
Kind of like a Shark Tank thing where
Yeah.
they're pitching their ideas.
And who's doing that on Christmas Eve? I mean, that's just bad
I
timing.
mean, it was the 80s. So.
Ebenezer Scrooge. That's who it was, Ebenezer
He's
Scrooge.
trying to get that money.
Now, is there one moment that you think defines this movie? We've had a lot of our favorite notable moments, but is there one thing that pops into your head first when you hear Gremlins?
I think Gizmo and Stripe.
I
Those are the, I mean, when I think Gremlins, I think of the cuddly character and then what he becomes later.
Almost a Jekyll and Hyde thing.
Yeah. But also, I think about when my sister was younger in high school, they called her Gizmo. That was her nickname, and she hated it so much.
Now,
And
why?
Kristen, I'm going to tell everybody that everybody called you Gizmo, and
Why?
she hated it because he was so cute, and she had that cute little face.
Well, then it's
I
a
think she
compliment.
also had
Big ears?
the eyes, like I think all just like she
Did her ears stick
She
way
did
out?
not have ears that stuck out.
I
No,
just didn't know.
I think 'cause she just had that cute face and like the big eyes.
I'm going to call her Gizmo.
You need to call her Gizmo and see what
I'm
she
going to
says.
call her Stripe. She started out as Gizmo,
Oh,
but she's
no.
clearly been eating after midnight.
No.
So, who do you think is the best character in this movie?
I think it's Gizmo. He seems to be the most. He has the most. Other than Mr. Wing, he has the most intelligence of everybody.
He does,
The most
yes.
common sense of everybody. He's like laid back when he needs to be, but then also serious when he needs to be. I think Billy is probably one of the worst characters in this because he's torturing this little thing.
Yes, he
sees that
is.
water like gets on him, and he starts shooting these fuzzballs out of his butt, and you could tell that Gizmo is in pain.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, well, that's interesting. Let me take it to my science teacher. Let me drop some more water on him and show him like what happens.
so
And I'm
cool.
like, that's so sadistic. Like,
It's
why
very
would he
cruel.
do that?
I think my favorite character is Mr. Futterman.
Okay.
He's the one who names the gremlins.
Yeah.
He's the one who is the paranoid harbinger. You know, a lot of scary movies have the harbinger, the guy who says what's going to happen. Everybody thinks he's crazy, and then it happens.
He's also funny in the way that I feel like back in the 80s, Americans were like really proud of their
Kentucky Harvester.
products and things that were made in America, like more than they're trying to get back to that now, like be proud
Yeah.
of the stuff. But this was back during like the automobile time.
The Cold War was pretty hard.
And he was like, stupid foreign cars, so you shouldn't have bought that foreign car. You should get American cars. And we say, no, American cars are not made very well now, you know.
I do like it that he talked about his tractor. He said it was 15 years old, and he talks about it like a really old tractor. But I think
Yeah.
15's almost new for a tractor.
Yeah.
Don't they run forever?
And then
I'm
he
not a
says
tractor guy.
says something about World War II, but he doesn't say World War II. He says the WWII.
I like that, though.
He was an interesting character for sure.
What themes did you see in this movie beyond Christmas?
Following directions,
I
responsibility.
would add to it that sometimes the worst thing that can happen is for you to get exactly what you asked for.
Right? Yeah.
And that's one of these situations. Like, you just think you know better than the person who clearly does know better than
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
So you're like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. As a physician, I encounter this a lot where people are like, I know you told me that, but I didn't think you meant it. But
Yeah.
it turns out you were right.
Yeah.
And you just roll your eyes. What are you going to do? But yes.
I'm also trying to figure out that this kid, like, is he a kid or is he an adult or is he
He's
a young
adult.
adult? Because he works at a bank and he lives at home in his parents' attic. You
I
know?
think that this is probably like he's graduated high school, but he hasn't gotten into art school yet. Like he's taking a year off and saving up and working at the bank. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But he seems like adult, but still young, like 18, 19, something
Yeah,
like
still
that.
trying to find his way, I guess.
Now, we always give these movies a Christmas spirit grade.
Mm-hmm.
We call that the mistletoe grade. We grade it like a grade on a report card, A through F. What is your mistletoe grade for the Christmas spirit in Gremlins?
Oh my gosh. I can't give it an A.
No, you can't
No,
give it an A.
For Christmas spirit, even though it talks about like, you know, gift giving and
It is
whatnot.
definitely not an A.
It happens over the holidays, so I mean, I think I want to give it like a C, probably.
I'm going to give it a D minus. There's almost no Christmas spirit here. There's the only Santa Claus story involves him breaking his neck in a chimney. I mean, you get the world's worst Christmas story.
They think that it's Frank, but it's not. It's a gremlin dressed up as Frank, and he comes and bangs on the deputy's window.
Okay, there's that also.
He had the hat on. Stripe, I think, at one point had a Santa hat on.
I guess my point is it has the most depressing Christmas story I've ever heard. So it's lucky I don't give it an F. I'm giving it a D-. Now, how many boughs of holly? How many on like a 0 to 5 stars or 1 to 5 stars, only we give it boughs of holly instead of stars. As a movie, how good is Gremlins?
I'm going to give it 5. I mean,
yeah.
Back now, if you'd asked me, 40 years ago, I'd have been like, oh, yeah, I didn't know. But now that I've seen it and watched it, one of my first thoughts was, I need to tell my sister she's got to make her kids watch this. Like, it's a Christmas, it's a classic though. It is also a Christmas classic. And I think everybody should watch it, even if it's not, you gave it the Christmas spirit a D or whatever, and I gave it a C. But I really think it's just a good, funny, fun holiday movie.
It is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I mean, you told
just
me.
Straight up, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's
I
right
can
there with
see why.
Goonies. It's one of my favorite nostalgic movies of all time, right there with Ghostbusters, which came out the same weekend.
Yep.
So 5 boughs of holly for me too. Everybody should see Gremlins multiple times.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care how many times you've seen it, go watch it again.
Oh, I totally would watch it
Yeah,
again.
watch it every year around Christmas. Watch it in the summer for Christmas in July.
Yeah.
Just watch Gremlins. I don't know what else to say. So we had a good talk. I can't wait. What are we watching next? Do you know?
It might be that one, the Christmas one that was the TV on the TV show.
I apologize if it's as bad as the Goose one was.
The Day They Saved Christmas.
Oh
or
man,
like
it might be like the Goose one. I'm
No,
sorry.
it will not be.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to say goodbye with that, and Merry Christmas to all, and to all watch Gremlins.